time it is. Marvin Devine, Hoover, Axel, and you know how we do.
Yeah, I got the juice, yeah, I got the juice. Whip game cool, make them look like cool. Always play it cool, that's the biggest rule. Forget what they doing, keep on doing that. I've been making loot since like 22. Ask me how I made it right here in the booth. I'm always pursued cause of what I pursue. That's greatness, yeah, I gotta make it, I got things to lose. Boy, wanna get in my crew, but you can't get in my crew. Me, XL and Hoover, way too fireable. When this joint drop, better call the troops. And when you hear the drop, better raise the roof. Better raise the roof.
You already know what happens when we link up. Let's go.
Yeah, I got the juice, yeah, I got the juice. Big game cool, make them look like cool. Always play it cool, that's the biggest rule. Forget what they doing, keep on doing it.
think my mic just got muted for a second there. Sorry about that, guys. Anyway, welcome back to the Locked In Podcast, episode 135. We're back in. I hope I wasn't muted that entire time. But anyway, so what we're talking about tonight is essentially, it's going to be, what we're talking about is the whole Jonah Hill and Sarah Brady thing. It's a little crazy about what's kind of been going on, but it's something that's been really relevant. What I was saying before, my mic had a little bit of an issue there with the mute, but essentially what we're talking about is healthy boundaries in a relationship versus misogynism. So if you guys have seen what was going on, there's a whole thing with Jonah Hill and Sarah Brady, his girlfriend. They broke up. But I do want to kind of go back because I don't know if my mic was muted for a little bit there. Anyway, George may be popping on here tonight, but unfortunately, he does have a work conflict, as well as the same thing with Rob, Rich, and Mario. Might have all of them. We might have one or two of them that pop on here tonight, but that's okay. And we keep this ball rolling, and that's the most important thing here. I do want to tell you guys, I hope you guys are really living life. We're already midway through July. I don't even want to think about that, to be honest. But it's crazy to really believe that we're already at that point. Take every day in stride. Enjoy your life. And I think that's the most important thing here. With this podcast is you want to make sure, we always preach personal development. We always preach growth. One of the biggest things, though, is to, amongst everything, take life in stride and really just be able to slow yourself down sometimes. Because when you're chasing growth, you're chasing your goals, you're running a business, or you are, working in an office job, it's very easy to just let life fly by you. I notice it all the time. But I've really been trying to get better with practicing gratitude, guys. And just got to say, I'm grateful for all you, but I'm also grateful for my loved ones in my life. I'm grateful for, my family, significant other, my friends, the people around me. And practicing gratitude can help slow things down amongst the busyness of your life. So guys, get your steps in, stay hydrated, get to the gym for your strength training exercises, meditate, take care of your health, and spend your time with your loved ones. It's very, very important. It's very critical because time can move quick when you're grinding and you're growing. It definitely can. It's a roller coaster of a journey. You should enjoy it, even throughout the failure, even throughout the knockdowns. You should really, really enjoy it. And just take everything in stride. But I want to be honest, it can fly by you. Like I said, I can't believe we're midway through July, but one of my favorite quotes from a really, really funny movie, but still a really resonable or relatable quote. It is from Ferris Bueller's Day Off. It's, if you don't stop, life moves pretty fast. If you don't stop and look around once in a while, you can miss it. And while that movie's a funny movie, the quote is very relatable, not just to me, but I think that it's relatable to life in general. You have to sometimes step out of the box and really understand that this thing called life, it moves quick. But it's going to be it's tough sometimes if you don't step outside the box. But yeah, I actually just got a notification from Rich. I don't think Rich is going to make it tonight because he got an overtime opportunity at work. So you know what? That's all right. You're going to make money with the overtime stuff. That's completely fine. I'm never ever going to tell somebody that they can't come on due to, money or something like that. So, or that they have to come on or ever be offended by that. If you're out there and you're working on your life, working on your purpose, great things. But just got the DM from Rich. So Rich, if you're watching this after the fact, no big deal. Don't worry about it, bro. Appreciate you. Essentially Rich, Rob, and Marius have become like OGs at this podcast. They are essentially a part of the team here at Locked In Nation and kind of what we're setting up here with the business side of it and the structure. So as much as it's me and George on the hosts, just know that these guys do a lot. They come on, they chip in where they can, and they help us with content. So I always appreciate and have much love for my bros that do that. I'm rambling here because I don't know if the first 5 or 6 minutes were muted. And I will listen back after this, and if it is the case, I will actually put that in the description so that everybody knows to skip forward a little bit. With that being said, guys, I just want to say, here we are, episode 135. And as I was saying, there's a big thing going on with Sarah Brady, the ex-girlfriend now of Jonah Hill, and her posting his text after their breakup publicly, saying that he is a misogynist. So we're going to break down healthy boundaries. At least this is from my opinion. When the other guys come on, or if they come on, they will have their opinion. But we're going to break down what misogyny is. We're going to break down what healthy boundaries are, not just in general, but to me. And we're going to talk about this because this is something that is plaguing men quite a bit. It's honestly something that's been really, really plaguing men, I feel. And it is really a whole thing that's going on right now. It's been a little crazy. Men, we have to be careful out here because while there are real life misogynist girls, a lot of women are labeling men misogynist when they're not actually misogynist. Now, to know if I think Jonah Hill was a misogynist or where he stands in this one, you're just going to have to listen in a little bit more. But honestly, just men, just be careful. We are in a society right now that I feel does not always benefit men. This is something, and I'm not here to make anybody the victim. Us as men, we take accountability for our actions, and we honestly, real men, literally get to the root problems, and we take care of stuff. We literally don't sit there and dwell on things. We definitely don't make ourselves the victim. But I am just like literally preaching facts right now. Men, we have to be careful because if this is a real thing that's going on right now. As I said, we're not making anybody the victim here. But this is legitimate. Like, you have to be careful because people are getting labeled misogynist when they're not. There are real life misogynists, but that term is thrown around very loosely right now. Something is thrown around very loosely, and society doesn't always benefit men without making them a victim. I'm saying that. Men and women all have their problems, but a lot of times I've been seeing recently, society's not really favoring men, so you have to be careful out here. But sometimes you're going to get labeled something even when you aren't it. And, it is what it is. And, people all have sound judgment. So people can really, people can figure out for themselves. It's going to be similar to this situation. I'm actually going to pull the text messages up. We'll just dive right into this. Guys, actually, before that, if you're watching on YouTube and you're not already subscribed, we're growing our subscriber count. Hit that subscribe button. Helps us out, and it gets us to our goals of where we want to reach and where we want to grow and the amount of people we want to connect with. So hit that like button and hit the subscribe button to turn notifications on because we release new content every single week, and you do not want to miss it, especially with the overhaul that is coming. So as I said, I don't like to talk specific details what we do, but a little bit of an overhaul. And it's going to be for the good. It's going to be more efficient for this podcast and for you guys. But hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. And if you're watching on Facebook and you're already a part of the group, hit the like button on this episode if you like what you see. Also, if you're not already following the Facebook group, make sure to give us a follow as well. You can check out all of our platforms in the link below. I think I have our links to Instagram, our links to Facebook, YouTube, Spotify, everything. So check out our pages. If you're watching on Spotify or listening on Spotify, make sure you hit the download button. We're trying to get our downloads up on Spotify. It's one of the metrics that we're really trying to grow. So appreciate you if you can hit that download button and download some of our episodes here. Also, if you want to chip in tonight, and I really hope to have a conversation as the boys kind of, make their way in tonight. Rich won't be coming. George might. He has a work thing. Rob and Mario, we'll see. But if not, it's not really a big deal. But comment below, let's have a conversation here tonight about this because this is a serious topic. And also, just sit back, just relax and enjoy this content. Even if it's me tonight, I'll try not to ramble too much. But we'll just get into this episode. So anyway, I actually want to pull up on my other screen here the text messages that were kind of going on between Jonah and Sarah. So that was kind of what sparked this tonight. Although this is a very serious topic, this is something that kind of sparked the thought because it was a last-minute episode due to a guest scheduling conflict. As I said, we're working to make that system much more efficient. We don't have last-minute cancellations, or at least we become risk adverse. So we literally outline and we cover ourselves on risk for that happening. So that way you guys don't have that happening to you either when you want to see our content. You're really looking forward to a guest coming on. Anyway, because the topic is here, I'm going to share my screen. All right, guys. So this is from a website. I think it's news.com.au. This is something that we've seen, right? So anyway, Sarah Brady and Jonah Hill, they broke up, and after the breakup, Sarah went to the meet. This was Jonah Hill's. I don't know if it's a short-term or long-term relationship, but anyway, they went to the media outlets. She went to the media outlets with this and posted private text messages about Jonah Hill and herself. This was, I think, what led to the breakup right here. And she labeled him misogynist. So let's literally break down the text here. We'll see what happens. We'll kind of dive into it. Jonah is one example of things like this happening, but it's something that's been very popular lately. So anyway, it says this is the text from Jonah in white. He says, plain and simple, if you need surfing with men, boundaryless, inappropriate friendships with men, to model, to post pictures of yourself in a bathing suit, to post sexual pictures, friendships with women in unstable places, and from wild recent past beyond getting lunch or coffee or something respectful, I am not the right partner for you. These things bring you to a place of happiness. I support it, and there will be no hard feelings. These are my boundaries for a romantic partnership. My boundaries with you based on the way these actions have hurt our trust. So essentially, he comes from a place where he's not really trusting her. Now, I do want to understand, because I've done like a little bit of analysis on this, and I have seen people who are actually psychologists that have dove into this, and I've seen people that are not psychologists dive into this, and people that were not psychologists, some of them tried to kind of elaborate from a psychological standpoint, even though they weren't psychologists. And I always make the disclaimer, obviously I'm not one. So from this point, what I've seen some people say is this is actually kind of like a reverse psychology type thing. So although Jonah is actually saying that like he's saying although these are his boundaries and he's completely happy for her if she walks away, it's kind of a way to control women. And the only reason I can see that is because he knew that she was already a surfer before like he met her and stuff like that. Apparently Jonah slid into her DMs. He commented on photos of her in bathing suits. But then like his boundaries apparently were these things. So the only thing is, I'm going to play devil's advocate here, although I will tell you my stance on it in a second, my actual firm stance on it. I'm not backtracking or anything like that. I do think the one thing that's a little weird is that you get into a relationship with somebody, you already know they're a surfer, you know they have pictures of bathing suits. I guess the dynamic shifts when you get into a relationship with them, but you do know that this is what this person does for a living and what they do for a career. So that I understand like the friendships with women from unstable places in your life. I understand how that can be controlling, but also it's a respect thing, right? If you're in a relationship with your partner, you should be able to show them respect, and vice versa. You know, the man should be showing the woman respect as well, and it should be a healthy boundary relationship. But if those are his boundaries, that's completely fine. You can't tell someone what their boundaries are, what they aren't. However, I will say, I do think it's a little weird that he already like knew what her lifestyle was before he got into a relationship with her. You know, as a man, if I was getting into a relationship with a woman and I had a certain boundary and I could see that up front, I wouldn't get into a relationship with that woman because I already see that. I already see that up front. You know, it's visually right there in front of me. Actually, Mario's right here. Let me bring him in. Yo, my guy. What's up, Mario?
Yo, what's up, brother? How are you, man?
I'm good, brother. Thank you for joining the podcast tonight, man. I appreciate you.
You got it, bro. You got it, man. My bad for coming on late, man. I was in the office today and it took a while to get back home. I just finished eating some lunch, so let's hop on it.
Yes, no problem, man.
Or,
Yeah, you
my
enjoyed
bad.
it.
I'm sorry. Not lunch, but dinner.
Yeah, no problem, man. No problem. I was like, I just appreciate you coming on, man. I was like, I know it's been a busy day for you, man, but I always appreciate. I was saying, you, Rob, and Rich are like OGs at this podcast. You're essentially like counterparts of this podcast. You guys do a lot for us, so I always appreciate you coming on, man.
Sure, sure, man. And
yeah, and George. I was gonna say, and George, welcome in too, because George is actually on his way to work to make some money. So I completely, I'm never ever gonna tell people, you go make your money, man. So George, welcome in, brother. If you can hear me, I don't know if you can hear me. If not, it's not a big deal. So essentially, guys, I want to tell you, I was breaking down this whole text message thing, right? We've heard the Jonah Hill thing that's been going on this week. This is actually a very important topic, but this has kind of made this relevant a little bit. I know a lot of podcast outlets have been talking about it. So essentially, Sarah Brady, the ex-girlfriend now of Jonah Hill, they had a breakup, and she essentially went public with the text messages labeling Jonah as a misogynist.
Dude.
Yo, what's up, dude? What's up? Welcome in.
I'm in a little bit. I'm on my way to work, but I'm listening though.
Yeah. We see you, man. I was saying I was breaking down the text messages. What's going on here? This is something I told guys. You got to be really careful. Let's not make ourselves victims, but at the same time, let's just be cautious and watch out for ourselves because society hasn't been great with favoring men as of late. But anyway, this Jonah Hill thing kind of brings it to light.
Unless you're Johnny Depp.
Yeah. So essentially, I'll break down. I was playing devil's advocate just a little bit here. I read the text message. Essentially, Jonah was saying boundaries for him in a romantic partnership. And they eventually wound up breaking up like shortly after this text message. But the only thing that I found a little weird is my actual firm standpoint is I think you absolutely should have boundaries in a relationship, and it does not make you a misogynist for having boundaries in a relationship because the person is free to be with whoever they want to be. But I did think the top two ones I thought were a little weird because I was saying when I get into a romantic relationship, yeah, I was saying the one thing that's a little weird to me is he said two things for him that he doesn't like in a relationship is just the need that she had to surf with other men and literally modeling and posting pictures of herself in a bathing suit. The only thing I say there is that he slid into her DMs to hit her up and he commented on, I think, a bathing suit picture. And he knew she was a surfer. So the only thing I find a little weird is if you don't like someone who's a surfer surfing with other men, you don't like someone who posts bathing suit pictures. I get it that sometimes maybe you'll think the dynamic will change when you get into a relationship, but thought it was a little... Yo, Rob, what's up, bro?
What's going on?
Welcome back, man. Appreciate you, man. Thank you for making it on.
No problem.
What's up, bro?
No problem. Sorry I'm a little late. Had some business stuff to handle, but I'm here.
Yeah, man. I was just saying that. I was like, George was on his way to work. Marius got home from the office late. They kind of just rolled in. So I'm like, I never ever tell people, you know, man, you got to obviously focus on your money, man. That's like number one, dude. And so get that money, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, bro. Somebody's got to buy
George?
that Mercedes that Rob used to drive. Might as well be me.
Thanks. Yo, I was breaking down this whole text message thing, man, because I kind of got into like what the topic was.
Jonah Hill story.
Yeah, the whole Jonah Hill, Sarah Brady thing with the breakup and everything. And I was like, men got to be careful out here today. Not even playing in as victims. Like, men just got to be careful because for the simplest things, there are legitimate misogynists out there. But here's the thing. That word is getting thrown around very loosely. So things that's having boundaries are getting labeled as like misogynistic now, which is a little bit crazy. I broke down the whole text message thing. I read it just to kind of bring you up to speed. But
right.
I believe that boundaries are boundaries. Like it's not forcing anybody. I don't think he seemed like he was forcing her to stay with him in any way. He said, "Hey, look, you know, I'm not the right partner for you. If these boundaries," he said, if these things bring you to a place of happiness," he said, "I support it. There's no hard feelings, but those are his boundaries."
The only boundaries, you know what I mean?
Yeah, to be not biased. Yeah, the only thing I said is to not be completely biased. The only two things I found weird in his text, I completely agree with his boundaries. Were the surfing with men because he already knew she was a surfer, and the posting of pictures in a bathing suit because apparently he slid into her DMs commenting on bathing suit pictures.
That's like,
on the DM. So my whole thing with that is, I get it that when you get into a relationship, sometimes you think the dynamic change, but if that's her career, I get that from that point, but. Maybe honestly it shifted in his mind later on that maybe that was just something that he wasn't comfortable with after he got with her. And I do think in a romantic partnership, you do make compromises for one another. So like, if you really do love the person you want to be with them, if somebody says that's a boundary and vice versa, if the woman has boundaries too, you know, in a healthy relationship, you support one another. So you guys kind of talk about it and come to a healthy compromise. I think the fact that she went to the news media outlets with private text message shows a little bit about her character. See, if I was in a relationship with someone and I broke up with them, I'm not going to go tell people publicly and show people text messages because I think that's very immature. I'm curious to see where your guys' standpoint is on this because I do think like the fact that she threw out misogynist, I don't see misogyny from this at all. That's just boundaries. Misogynist is completely different in my opinion, but I'm curious to see what your guys' thoughts are on this.
And you know what the crazy part is, bro? This didn't even happen last week or yesterday. You know when this conversation took place? It took place 2 years ago.
Yeah, it's crazy, right?
One has to ask the question, why all of a sudden release it now? What ulterior motive is behind all this?
It's very true, man. It's come to light now. That's a very good point you made because I think a lot of people think that this is happening now, but no, it actually happened a while back. But what is the reason that this is coming to light now?
I don't think he's a misogynist at all, to be honest. I just think he's just acting like, a boyfriend that wants his image to be a little clear. He's acting, I mean, he probably knew he was getting involved in, but at the same time, he wants her to kind of probably be a little better version of herself and be like, okay, don't put yourself out there too much. Like, it's okay to have some bikini pictures, but not like too many. And especially if you're thirst trapping dudes and you're in a relationship, you probably shouldn't have that. But I mean, to each their own, you know what I mean? I mean, I understand why some people probably feel that kind of way because girls are more free these days to do whatever they want. But still, if that's your girlfriend and your boyfriend, you have a right to speak up a little bit. Or, I mean, whatever, I guess, then distance yourself from that
Yeah.
person.
Yeah, I agree. So that word misogyny is just thrown out there like a buzzword. It's actually
Right.
hilarious.
It's thrown too
Most
much.
girls, most women don't even know what that actually means. If you really look at the dictionary word and what it actually means, it'll be a whole different story. It literally stands for the hatred of women. How is setting boundaries hating women? That has nothing to do with hating women. So, it's just a buzzword that's ridiculously thrown to try to shame men for having boundaries. So I agree with George. If it's two that you can't have both best of both worlds. Either you're single or you're in a relationship. And when you're in a relationship, there's a cost you got to pay. Some men have certain boundaries to be in a relationship with them. Either you take it or you leave it.
Exactly.
It's like coming to a negotiation table. I'm in real estate. You're trying to buy a house. Either if the seller has their boundaries, you have your boundaries. Either you take it or you leave it. It's how it is. So I don't see anything wrong with it. I think he's just setting his boundaries for being in a relationship with him. Every man is different. Every man has their own boundaries. And if that woman can't come to terms with the boundaries, then don't be in a relationship with that man. It is what it is.
Exactly. I think he said it I think he actually said it in a perfect way. He said, I am not the right partner for you if these things bring you to a place but if these things bring you to a place of happiness, I support it and there will be no hard feelings. He literally gave her the option to walk away. Like that's completely right. We preach respect so much here for men, right? Like that's the way your woman's going to love you more than anything is if she respects you. So here's the thing. When you're in a relationship, there is a level of respect that's expected. When you're like Rob said, when you're in a relationship with a man, the dynamic shifts. It's like at that point you act a certain way when you're single, but when you're in a relationship, everybody has different boundaries. So, right, if you don't respect those boundaries, you're free to walk and be with another man. But I do also, to Marius's point, I really am curious of why this is coming out 2 years later. And if I had to take a guess, it's because of how the world view of men has shifted over the last 2 years. So now there's a big thing with misogyny and this word getting thrown around. So now it sort of fits a narrative, it fits an agenda to kind of bring this out now to kind of shame men. It's a little weird, like how this comes out 2 years later, but the word misogyny is getting thrown around like the word entrepreneur gets thrown around in business. Entrepreneur in business, you got misogyny. It's literally exactly how this word. It's just getting thrown around like toxic masculinity. Another one. A lot of times people, if you ask them to define what it is, it's just a subjective view of what they think it is, but it's not the actual definition of what it is. So it's a little crazy. The thing is, I think a lot of people actually are not siding with her. I've been seeing the majority. There are people that do, but there's also the majority of people that I'm noticing, even women, are not siding with her in this one. They're saying, "Hey, girl, he gave you boundaries. Look, if you don't want them, you can walk away.
Walk away." Yeah,
he's not forcing you to be there. So, I don't know. Marius,
she's probably just salty that she didn't have her cake and eat it too. That's what it probably comes down to.
Exactly.
She wanted to act single while being in a relationship. It just doesn't work that way, especially when you're talking about, Jonah Hill, like a top, 1%er, a guy that's in Hollywood, an actor. He has a lot going for him and stuff like that. So obviously, if you're going to be in a relationship with him, you either get on his terms or you can walk and, get with someone else.
And from my dating experience, what I'm noticing, at least with a lot of women, not all, they want the benefits of being with a man, but they don't want to pay the cost of being with a man. So you want the benefits of being with this man. He does this, he buys her this, romantically and all that, but they don't want to pay the cost. They want the best of both worlds. They want the benefits of being single, but also the benefits of being in a relationship. Life don't work that way. You got to pick one.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't work that way. That's the thing. You make sacrifices, you make compromises when you're in a relationship. George is trying to talk. I had to mute him because his thing was echoing a lot. George, what were you saying, bro?
Hold on to my.
I'm just saying I agree with Rob and Marius. Like you said, sometimes any situations. They want to be relationships, you know, sometimes like single, and that's everything gets, you know, you gotta have those talks and be like, are we just in a relationship, or we're kind of like make it seem like we are, but we can do our own thing too. You know what I mean? If you got those things, those boundaries, I think, then I mean, probably no one gets disappointed. But no, I agree with Marius was saying, and what's his name, Rob. So that's what I was saying. Back to you, Steve.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree. That's the thing. Like, everybody has different boundaries and terms. So if you want that, you can be in an open relationship. And I'm gonna be honest, the majority of people I don't feel like can handle an open relationship. People think they can, but then when the other person is sleeping with someone else, it's not really a relationship at that point. It's more just, you know, people are just sleeping around, but you come back to one another. But that's everybody's different. Like, it's not a traditional relationship. But if you want to be in a legitimately traditional relationship with somebody, yeah, no, it's like, especially Jonah Hill, like Marius said, not only is he high value, he's a 1%er. So essentially he has his boundaries, and you can either get on his program or not. Like, it's plain and simple, you know, you don't have to be on that person's program or whoever, you know what I mean?
Right. He's the man.
Exactly. So that's
Right. So yeah, and that has nothing to do with misogyny or hating women. That's just his personal boundaries, and any woman that meets that criteria can date him. If not, they can walk away. He's not putting a gun to nobody's head. So I don't understand that. To me, it's a shaming tactic that a lot of females use to try to like make men feel bad to having standards and boundaries so
yeah.
they can have the best of both worlds. I've noticed that.
Yeah, they want something that fits their narrative so they can weaken us as men mentally to like really believe and be like, we literally start to lose respect and dignity for ourselves, and we put up with stuff that we don't necessarily, you know, want to put up with. But you know, these men, what they'll do is they'll just keep their mouth shut and allow women to do this. But essentially that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to mentally like weaken men to the point where like they lose respect and dignity for themselves, and so it fits their narrative. Essentially that's what I'm noticing as well. I literally, if you Google like misogyny and stuff like that, it all comes up for men. You don't really see any of it towards like women or anything. It's never women hating men. But the funny thing is I saw something come up, and it was like a book a woman wrote, and it said, I hate men. And she looked like it was like the typical like man hater type of image and everything. She said, I hate men. And there's actually like a book out there. It's like a best-selling book apparently, I Hate Men, about like men and stuff. It's crazy. Like, I was just like,
Can
what?
you can you imagine if somebody wrote a book that said I hate women? That would get dragged through the mud, man.
God,
Riots
it'll
all
be
across
it's like all
America.
over. It'll be terrible.
Shit.
You'd be canceled. I mean, plain and simple. They would try to cancel you.
Hands down. And that's why I always tell men, there's nothing wrong with standing 10 toes down on your position.
Right.
If this is what you want, and stand on it. Don't let somebody shame you out your position. Like that's what make men men. The fact that we have principles and we stand on certain things, and every man is different. But if that's your principles, that's your boundary, stand on it. Just because somebody shame you, don't just change, because that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to like influence you. But if that's what you want, that's your principles. Hey, stand 10 toes down. They're gonna respect you in the end.
Stand firm. It's like if you're in a deal with someone and you're negotiating, always stand on your point. You know what I mean? Always stand on your, you know what I mean, on your own principles. Like, you don't have to break or bend a certain way because somebody else doesn't agree with what you want. Like, at the end of the day, if you're a man, you're afraid of losing this woman, there's other women that could come along. You're a high value guy. You don't have to worry about that. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, you know, stand on your principles. Because if you don't, that woman's gonna lose respect for you anyway. She's going to lose respect for you because you're bending to what she wants anyway. I would say it's a good example of like a guy's on a first date with a girl, and he says, I like the color blue, and she's like, well, I like the color red. He's like, you know what, red actually is a better color now that you think about it. That's like a guy doing exactly something like that just to appease the woman or you know what I mean? And the moment a man does that, all respect is like lost, because you're just literally, she'll think in a relationship, can I trust this guy? Because he's never going to tell me what I need to hear or anything like that. He's just going to, essentially, she's the leader and he's just going to follow whatever she says. A woman's not going to be able to trust a man who doesn't stand on his own principles. So I really like that point, Rob. That's actually, that's what makes a man.
Right. And I know Trump talks about this in one of his books about like art of the deal. Like, if you're not willing to walk away from a negotiation, you lost. So like it's the same thing like the guys that's like with a girl and they feel like they have no other option. So they do whatever it takes to bend to whatever she demands instead of, and compromising his own boundaries. Like it's okay to go with what your girl wants or whatever, but like if it compromises your values and boundaries, that's when it becomes a problem. But so a lot of guys feel like, oh, I can't get another girl, so that's what happens, and that's where the weakness comes in, and they're not willing to walk away.
Yeah. And if a guy does struggle with women, all I got to say is, what are you doing to level up your life? What are you doing? Because if you're not doing anything to level up your life, I don't care. Like everybody can always work on themselves. Like some dudes just go, oh, I'm naturally ugly or something. You can always do things to make yourself look more attractive, not just physically, but also, status wise, or, like there's always things you can do to make yourself more attractive and more viable. So like, what are you really doing? You notice a lot of people, they get into relationships and they just let themselves go completely. They let themselves go. Maybe they had goals to do certain things career wise. They don't do it. Maybe they
got too comfortable.
Yeah. They were going to the gym. They stopped going. The problem is if you're in a relationship with somebody who is impeding you from doing certain things that are like leveling up your own life, you have to really question, is that a healthy relationship that I'm in? Like maybe you walk on eggshells around that person. It's like, it's not healthy. So you should, in a healthy relationship, y'all should both be supporting each other's goals and be lifting each other up. It shouldn't be like, feel like you're being dragged down. And if you do feel that way, you have to have an honest conversation with that person. I feel like a lot of men tiptoe around things. They don't want to have that conversation because they're afraid of like having that conversation. But like, look, it's long term, it's not going to be good. Eventually, it's going to get to a breaking point.
So true. Long term, she's not going to respect you. So you might have it now in the beginning, but in long term, she just is going to get worse and worse and worse and accumulate. So, I mean, I had a friend, a similar situation. He was dating this gorgeous girl, like she was a big gym girl. But he don't like his women posting her booty on IG. That's one of his boundaries and principles. So he was having that issue with that girl, but like they weren't like official yet. So he told her like, if we will become official, I'm gonna need you to stop that. But she obviously didn't want to do that. So he didn't bend. He said either we just stay kicking it, or we just not gonna be official if you keep doing that. So they ended up breaking it off. But obviously she's a beautiful girl. She's just gonna go find another dude. But he's still standing on his principles and like, all right, I'm just gonna find another woman that meets my boundaries or that could fit in my life the way I want it. So I respect that when he did that.
Yeah, that's good for him, man. Because most men, I wouldn't say most, but actually, yeah, I probably would say, because a lot of guys today, it's like it's rare to see a man come across and stand on his principles. But you know what? That woman is going to respect him. I guarantee he's going to be in the back of her mind sometimes when she out there dating. I guarantee. Because she ain't used to men talking to her like that or telling her.
She's a gorgeous girl. It's probably the first time that ever happened to her.
Yep. You'll notice it too with women. Like there's been times where back in the past, like I've dated women and then like it didn't work out, but it feels like they always, like when you hold them accountable or something, they always circle back like later on. They try to hit you up or slide in your DM or text you or something, and then at that point you could already be seeing someone else. You're like, hey, look, I told a girl, it was before me and Desi got together, but it was she tried to circle back after like me and her had like ended things, and there was a reason why. Like it's like it was a similar situation. Like I wasn't gonna bend on my principles, and then tried to and then was like she came back like, was it like 8 months later, like apologized and like DM me on Snapchat or something, apologize. She had this whole paragraph thing like apologizing, like I should have never done that, this, that, and the third. And I went through the whole conversation thing with her. She's asking me how I was doing and everything. And then when she had hit me up and like messaged me to like, are you seeing anyone? I was like, yeah, I am. And I was like, yeah, I don't think we should like continue like conversing. So I was like, honestly, I'm seeing someone now. I was like, or no, I don't think she asked me if I was seeing anyone. She was asking if I wanted to hang out or something. I was like, nah, I'm seeing somebody now. Like, I wish you the best of luck, but just kept it pushing. And I was like, honestly, that's not a chapter that I'm trying to open back up in my life. Like that chapter's in the past now. So I just keep it moving. Like, But it's funny how they circle back like after the fact. That's happened many times. I'm sure a lot of men, if you hold strong, that girl might try to circle back to your friend after the fact, and he already might be in a healthy relationship at that point. And hey, a girl that will
for sure.
Yeah, the power having a
let her know what she missed out on.
Man, it's big.
For sure. Yeah, and if the girl thinks you're worth it, she'll pay the cost. I promise you, she'll pay it. Whatever that boundary is, she may not like it, But she think you're worth it. She'll be like, I'll pay the price just to be with you.
Exactly.
I promise you. And if she don't want to pay it, she don't think you're worth it. So it wasn't gonna really work out anyway in the long run. So
yeah, sometimes women will shit test you right there too, just to call your bluff to see if you're gonna hold strong when she says it. And then when he does, they'll be like, "Wow, I didn't expect that to happen." And it's like, I didn't expect him to do that. As gorgeous as she is, I guarantee she's gonna think about him.
for sure.
Because it's rare. You don't see many men today. It's crazy. I'll be on Facebook and certain girls, like they have dudes that are just climbing under their comments. Like you see like 50 comments on pictures. Marius knows. I've like shown honestly laughing. I'm like, it's crazy. Like, this is the problem with not having a solid male friend group or not having a solid father figure in your life. A lot of these women will post things and they continuously ignore dudes on their social media, and they'll keep commenting things. Like one girl, she needed something for a car. I think it was like an alternator. She got bought it. I need to put in or something. The dudes that she rejects regularly are commenting below. "Oh, I'll stop by over the weekend. I'll stop by right now over to work. I'll put it in for you. Don't worry. I won't charge you nothing." Like, I'm just like, this is like insanity. And she posts that as like a thirst trap to see probably in her head how many dudes are going to comment. Like how many dudes are going to comment in her head. She's just getting off on the comments because women, a lot of times, they don't need sex to feel validated. All they need to do is see the attention, and boom, in her head. Like a lot of men don't understand that. Like the more you comment, the more these women are not like she's already rejected you multiple times. Just to leave her and move on, bro. Like, it's crazy. But you see the same people, they continuously circle back. It's just like, this is the importance of having a strong male friend circle around you and have it, because your friends, if they seen that shit, they're going to hold you accountable. Like, bro, what the hell are you doing? Stop this shit, man. Like,
yeah, I'm all about guys shooting a shot. I'm all for that. But like, if she's not reciprocating, next opportunity, my guy.
Yeah.
Next opportunity. Like,
yeah, she ain't worth all that, bro. And that's the thing. Like, imagine if so it's funny with one of the girls. I knew this dude who was he hooks up with her from time to time. They're not like a relationship thing, but you know that she wants him. But I guarantee if I had to ask him what one of his boundaries would be, is her stop posting these photos all over Facebook, like in the mirror, in a bathing suit, all these things, like attention giving photos. And that's the thing. I bet if he asked her, she probably don't want to take those photos down. So it's like, well, I'm not going to be in a relationship with you. Like, not take them down, but stop posting these photos. Like, you know what I mean? You're seeking external validation outside the relationship. It's like, I don't know. Like, it's weird. Like, if you can't come to a conclusion with that boundary, like, hey, you don't have to be with me. Plain and simple. I think Rob might have froze.
I think, I don't see his video moving.
Yeah, he'll probably come back in though. Be all right. But yeah, you know what I'm talking about, Marius. We've talked about this, and it's like, if I'm in a relationship,
I've seen it myself, man. Yeah, like the dudes that comment in on it, man, they're not the dudes that she's thinking about. You know, she's thinking the guy that she's thinking about is the guy that's not hitting her up at all, which is the crazy part. I know, like, to some people that may not make sense, but I'm like, that's the truth.
Yeah, it's crazy. I was just like, if I'm gonna, like, if a girl's posting selfies all the time, like all over Facebook, like, and they're like sexual selfies, and then it's like you get into a relationship with a guy, and the guy tells you, hey, look, I don't want you posting those selfies anymore because you got all these weirdos commenting underneath your DMs, like commenting underneath your photos and stuff. Like, I don't want that. If she can't, it's like Rob said, if you're worth it to her, she absolutely will stop that. She'll stop it
for sure
for you to be with you if she thinks you're worth it. And sometimes they just might call your bluff. Maybe because they want to test your strength, because maybe they think you're bluffing as a man. And sometimes, like, that's when they're still in the thing where they don't maybe believe you all the way. So they'll test your strength and see what you do. But then when you actually do it, you'll be like, oh wow, I didn't expect that.
For sure. And also at the same time, guys got to be reasonable as well. Like, you don't want to put the girl in a prison. Like, oh, I know somebody said, oh, you can't go out with your friends, you can't go to bars. Like, that's a little much. Like, you don't want to trap her, Like,
exactly.
Sometimes the cost will be too much, and then she won't pay it. But if it's reasonable and it's tailored to you, hey, by all means.
Right. And I think that's where the that's where there's a bordering difference between insecurity and boundary. Because I think if you're so insecure that your girl can't go out with her girlfriends and go out and enjoy herself, at that point, do you really have trust inside your relationship? Because You know, if I'm in a relationship and my girlfriend wants to go out with her friends, I trust her all day because I wouldn't be with her if I didn't trust her.
Right.
And if she ever gave me a reason not to trust her, then it's a serious conversation you got to have, because it's like some things with trust are just irreparable. Like you can't. It's like, okay, we can't have this. But if you're if you're in a relationship with someone, you should trust them. That's an important part. Communication and trust, I think, are the two most important things in any relationship. If you don't have trust or communication, you don't have anything. It's like for a healthy relationship. So yeah, I see dudes that do that too, and that borders on like the part of a control freak or a narcissist, to be quite honest. Like that kind of borders on that, because if you need that type of control at the time, it comes off as insecure and also narcissistic. But it seems like there were some women that were commenting on this Jonah Hill text message saying he's insecure and stuff. Well, she doesn't have to be with him. He's just setting his boundary of what he expects in a relationship. It's not like he said, you're going to be with me and nobody else. He never tried to control her to keep let her not go to anybody else. Like, it's not insecure, like, in my opinion.
Right. And like, I think his boundaries are fine. They're healthy, reasonable. It's nothing crazy. And I always say, you give your woman or wherever you're dating choices. You're not trying to control them. Control is trying to take somebody and make them do something. You're just giving them choices. Hey, this is my boundaries. Either it's yes, you agree with it, or no. I'm not controlling you. You have a choice.
Right.
So,
I'm not going to make a big deal about it if you decide to go the other way. He said, I wish you nothing but happiness. If that's what makes you happy, hey, I support it. But like, look, it's just not going to be with me. And that's completely fine. He said friendships with women who are unstable places passed beyond getting lunch or coffee with them. So he's like, hey, look, you want to go out and have lunch or coffee with your friends, but maybe she was in an unstable place with some of those friends. So going out drinking, he don't want her going out doing that with those friends because those friends are a little bit toxic. So that's why he said anything past lunch or coffee. Yeah, so that makes sense. Like sense. So it's like choices. It's not like, oh no, you did, and it's just a boundary. But a lot of people confuse language nowadays. Like certain things, they like to use certain terms, like we said. So men specifically need to be very careful, because today society just really ain't favoring us. But just, hey, you just got to stand firm on your beliefs, your decisions, your principles. Do your thing, build up your money, build up your status, focus on your health, and garner in the strong and healthy relationships around you. And I think if you do all three of those things, those three areas, you're going to be fine.
Yeah.
Don't worry about outside forces and all the other stuff. People are going to say what they're going to say. Not everybody's going to like you. Not everybody's going to love you. It's all right. And coming from people I know that are very high net worth people, they say the more success and status you have, the more people hate you. It is how it is. You're going to notice a lot of people that were cheering for you when you were down. They're not always cheering for you when you're up. You see it all the time. Yeah, it happens a lot. You lose relationships with people because you never really knew when you were in the darkness that those people, when you got big and you still had a respectful friendship with them, they were literally they were toxic once you started becoming successful. So it happens a lot.
Very true. You can't control what's out there. You only can control what you can control. So don't worry about it. Do what you got to do.
Exactly. Your actions. That's all you can control. So it's like, I don't really, now that I'm older, I don't really try to surround myself with people who are toxic. And also like that rubs off on you too. If you spend enough time around someone who's toxic, it really, I've been around that situations where it starts to take a toll on me mentally. So like, as you get older, you just don't surround yourself with people who are toxic. And that goes for relationships too. If you're in a relationship with someone who's essentially toxic, it's going to ruin your whole life. It's going to keep you from chasing your goals. It's going to keep you from focusing on your own health. Your mental health's going to go to shit. You're going to be with somebody who's literally every single day, you're going to be in a position where you're going to hate your life.
Yeah. No
reason.
That's the most important decision you're going to make, the woman that you pick. So I always advocate for men to vet as hard as possible. It's like, I feel like some guys vet the car they're going to buy more than the woman they pick. Like that car is just a car, but the woman you pick by your side, like if it's marriage or whatever, that's the most important, one of the most important decisions that can affect your happiness and your success. So you got to vet hard.
That's very true. That's very true.
Yeah, man, you picked the wrong one, dude. You're gonna be in for a world of hurt. Your life's gonna be living hell.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I've heard so many horror stories on YouTube and Reddit about the men marrying the wrong woman. And I'm like, and their lives have gone to absolute shit, man. You got to be careful. You know, you can get you can get a car anytime you want, man. It's difficult to find a good woman out there who's going to support you, who's going to be Paris. So I agree with you.
Yeah.
It's harder nowadays more than ever with social media and everything. It's not like back in our grandparents and like our parents' day, like it was different. Like it's like social media wasn't. Now it's just like with dating apps and social media, it's like it's just there's so much temptation there. It's like it really is difficult sometimes to find a real good woman who holds it down. Like, you know what I mean? Like it really is. So
yeah, we got to vet. You know, vet real harder, even harder than the older generation.
Yeah,
really understand who you're dealing with. It
exactly.
goes for both sides, women and men, both sides. So
see how they are once they get into the relationship with you, though, too, because sometimes people try to switch up. They do a very good job of hiding up front, even if you do very, very well. You have to understand, like, sometimes, like, you know, down the line, their true colors start to show. So always be vigilant. Like, that's the thing. Like, always, like, how I see it is, like, is a woman your piece, or is she your, is she literally just being, like, everything? Is she just drama all the time? It's like, is she your piece, or is she creating drama and chaos in your life?
What's going, bro? How's it going, bro?
George is on there, but I think he's at work. I hear like, yeah, right. I can put George on here, but I just don't want a ton of. Yo, George.
Yeah.
I didn't know if it was going to be noisy in the background. I just didn't want much of.
I just want to say bye and thanks for having me because I'm about to get off. I'm at a job now, but it was a good podcast and I heard most of it. Okay, so I'm at D&D's right now in Delilah's. So, all right, guys, enjoy the rest of that. I'm having some fun. You have some fun, you know, just chill. And have a great evening, guys. I'll see you guys probably next week, all of you. All right, yo? Talk to you guys.
Yeah, no problem, man. I like the hairstyle.
Yeah, George.
Yeah, no problem. All right. Peace and love. One.
Later. Wow. He had the spiked up hair. Yeah, George, I know like last year he was dealing with like a similar situation, but he eventually like they had to cut things off and stuff. I was like, yeah, man, you can't let a woman like ever like disrespect you or put you, you know what I mean? You can't ever like, it's crazy. I hear it all the time. Like people like a woman like be just like they literally try to devalue you as a person. It's like you can't like that's the thing. It's like you're never ever a man is expected to lead in a relationship. Like if you're not respected, she's never gonna respect you. Mm-hmm. If you don't have respect for yourself, she's never gonna respect you.
Mm-hmm.
You're never gonna be happy.
Yeah, how can anybody respect you, even a man or woman, if you don't respect yourself? So
no,
it starts with yourself.
Exactly.
She first has to respect you in order to love you. Yeah.
That's absolutely true. Yeah, I was gonna try to get Rich on here today. He texted me though. He's working on some OT, so I saw that in the text message. I'm like, no problem, man. I'm not gonna ever tell anybody you can't be making your money. So make your overtime. Make your overtime.
Yes, sir.
Well, that being said, I think I'm at 55 minutes here. Probably just wrap up shortly. I wanted to try to keep it 45 minutes to an hour. I think on the first couple minutes of the podcast, I think my mic was actually muted, so I had to like reiterate some of the stuff I said. I'm probably gonna go back and listen to that, and if it is, I'm just gonna put a disclaimer in the description for people to skip like 2 minutes or something, just because I think my mic was muted. We were actually supposed to have a guest on today, but they kind of canceled last minute, so I think we're trying to figure out a better vetting, like a kind of a process, like where it's like if somebody doesn't let us know by Monday that they're coming on, just change the topic because it's the cancellations at last minute are a little bit. Like I said, you guys are like the OGs of the podcast. You guys and Rich, like I was like, you guys. It's like we're almost like all a team here, to be honest. Like I know I can always count on you guys. So, appreciate you guys coming on. I think it was a good conversation. I'll probably repost it because I think a lot of people can learn from this, especially men. I think informative for women though too. I always say when men are on their purpose, like women benefit. So like it's for women too. Women at the same time, if they're open to like, you know, not being biased, they can listen to this and they'll understand. You know what I mean? Because when a man's on his grind and it's like they want a respectable man, that's what they really want to be with. They don't want to be with. They don't want to be with a man they don't respect realistically.
Yeah. Very true.
So
makes a better dating pool for them. So
absolutely, exactly. It gives them a better life, a better journey. You know, through life. You know, they get to have an abundant life with a man who's on his grind, so on his purpose. So
yeah. A man that they could depend on. So
Exactly, a provider, protector. So there you go. I'm a leader. Marius, do you have any comments before I wrap up or anything?
Nah, man. Thank you so much for inviting me, having me on, man. You know, I love coming on here, man. It's I'm a huge supporter of what you guys are doing, bro, and let's keep up the good work, man.
Thanks, brother. I appreciate that. I always appreciate you guys taking time out of your. I know you guys got busy schedules, and coming on here, hopping on the mic. That being said, guys, if you're watching on the rebroadcast or if you're watching live now, like, subscribe on YouTube or on Facebook. If you're not following the group, hit the follow button. Follow us for up-to-date content. We post episodes every week. Comment in, even if it's on the rebroadcast, we'll comment back and we'll reply to you. And we'll be seeing you guys next week for episode 136. We have a guest scheduled, so hopefully they stay on par for next week. And that being said, guys, I appreciate you guys coming on as always. Have a great night to everybody out there, as well as you guys, and have a great weekend. And I know I'll be in contact with you guys.
You got it, man. Have a good night, boss. Take care, man.
Take care.
Likewise.
Everyone.
Take care, guys.
Have a good night.
Peace. You too, man.